Rajesh, Synergy Marine is very much at the core of a lot of the new shipping partnerships and ecosystems in Singapore and, of course, the region as well. How do you see the key drivers for building trusted relationships in the region, and do you see them different from what's going on internationally?
Thanks, Michael. I think for me, at least personally, the key in building trust is transparency and being honest in whatever you think. And whether it's the relationships that you have with your family, friends, or business partners, I think we all need to agree that we need to be transparent. And for which then there are tools and technology available that you can kind of share that information in a very transparent manner. I think a lot of people see that and get that. And then, like what Matt said, we need to find the right partners and the models, because like he said, you don't want to go to any partner. And I can give you the example just as how we at Alfori started. We were just literally pulling wires out of a garage until BW and such a large conglomerate came in. And I think we went through this whole chain of not having a legal framework first, finding a commercial framework, and then seeing what's the output and timelines going to look like. And if we hit these two things, how can then partnership look like? So I think that we need to take a crawl, walk, run, basically, rather than just heading into. I feel it's always better because we set the expectations correctly. The second thing I think we see in shipping a lot is when we talk to our customers, we see, okay, a lot of people talk about fuel savings, for example, and decarbonization drive. But it's, of course, a question about how much was the savings potential. It is great. But people also actually want to see how did you act on those advices and actually realize, what have you actually realized at the end of the voyage for me? So I think that's also getting more and more important, because there's a lot of fluff and there's a lot of noise in the air, and people are now saying, okay, I hear that, let me just declutter this and get to the bottom of this to find out what really this is all about. And the third thing that we think is important is also to listen. I think there's perhaps a reason why we have 2 years compared to some of the other things. And maybe to listen to our customer and understand what he actually wants, and do we really have a solution for that? And I think really trust is an invisible currency. So you need to use all your senses to be able to feel and hear and smell how that relationship is heading, because I think that's the only way. But so far, to your point, Michael, we've been very, very fortunate. And we've seen that whole thing about putting your hands up in the air and saying, I'm sorry, I messed up, or being honest, and collectively, clearly defining what's the problem statement you're going after, what's the value we can recapture. Before even we talk about what's the value we create, before you talk about how do you capture that value, right? Because a lot of times we discuss on how do you capture the value even before we talk about what's the value you're really creating. So I think when you follow these few things, we have found that it's been quite meaningful. And of course, there will be times where we both will get disappointed, but that should not, stop you from the path about building trust and partnerships. Sorry, that's it.
So if I maybe also read a little bit into your answer, you're also saying that it's important to have flexible commercial, or let's say business models as well, because it's hard to price a product and know exactly what the value is. You need to find a way to sort of have enough flex in the system to say, look, we know there's something here, we don't know how much, but and it's more value share than it's necessarily pricing a product, if you could say, right? Which is also fundamentally very different for a lot of actors in the shipping industry, because that's not how it's usually been, right? You pay a price, you get a product, and then you scale that. So